Nonsense surrounding a proposal the White House allegedly sent to Senate Republicans that now they're denying. Do you know anything about that? And are we slated to be in on New Year's Eve?
I have talked to some Senate Dems right before I came down, and they told me that they had not been told by the White House at all about any plan coming up. And it looks like the sources there on that report may have been a little bit confused. But I think what we're watching, Luke, is a slow motion car wreck. I think we're going through the motions here, and there's no real belief among the legislative leaders that I talk to that a deal is imminent, that a deal could even get done with the time frame that's left. And while I think many of us will be here on New Year's Eve bringing in 2013, I'm not sure that there will be a deal that is born with the new year.
I want to get both of you guys on this because, Paul, you wrote this morning in the Washington Post that when you look at Boehner and Obama's proposals, they're essentially $450 billion away. That's less than 1% of the federal spending that would go forward for the next 10 years. Have you ever seen a deal that's that close that could essentially give both sides a lot of what they want fall apart over that small amount of money?
It has been very confounding to a lot of us because, you break it down over 10 years, they're $45 billion apart year by year on taxes. They would tell you, each side would say that beneath that are policy issues that they just can't bridge the gap on in terms of how much they raise tax rates on those income above $250 or $400 or $1 million, and that those are really big, substantial gaps. And Republicans want more on entitlement reforms, particularly on Medicare. Those are sort of the red lines that each side has drawn. And as the overall number is really close, those policy differences are still key, and they just can't get past them right now.
And Chris, I'll just turn to you. I mean, obviously that number is unbelievable, how small it is, the difference. But in terms of moving forward, from your sourcing, does it seem to be that we're going to go over the cliff now with the possibility that we would pass the fix-it, the 250 or below, on the 3rd or the 4th?
Well, I think right now all sides are playing a PR game. And when you look at kind of what's happening today with Harry Reid on the floor, with this statement that House Republicans made yesterday, this is all a kind of blame game situation, which indicates to kind of everybody that I'm talking to that there isn't a lot of good sense that we'll get there. And the other thing to remember, Luke, and you know this, that when you bring a new Congress back, these are a couple hundred new members. There's logistical challenges. None of the bills that are alive right now are usable anymore. They all die when the Congress ends, so they need to reintroduce legislation. So I'm hearing that even if we do go over, the cliff, that it's not the 3rd or the 4th that we might be able to pull it back, but that it could go into mid-January by the time they get organized, they get some legislation moving that could even be a vehicle for a deal. So it looks like if we do go over the cliff, we may end up in mid-January sometime.
Simply remarkable. Chris Frates from the National Journal, we thank you so much. Paul Kane, WAPO, here in the house. Appreciate it. Won't hold it against you that you're a Philadelphia fan.
So's Chris.
Oh, God. 0 for 2. What political story will make headlines in the next 24 hours? That's next on Andrea Mitchell Reports.